During this exercise, we're going to show you how to sort data both alphabetically and numerically, how to use the filter feature, freeze on-screen view, and how to use the zoom function. First, we'll start with sorting alphabetically. I'm going to take the vehicle column, and that's A2 through A100. I'm going to highlight that here for us. Once I've got this highlighted, we're going to go up to our ribbon and we're going to go to the Data tab. You'll find this Sort and Filter group, and then you can just click A to Z. Now, it will usually give you this warning, and I want to explain the warning so you know how to answer this question. You do want to click Expand Selection and Sort, and the reason for that is you want these other columns to follow that line. For example, since it's covering the top one here, if we wanted the information for the Volkswagen to follow the city it's in, the phone number, etc., you want to expand the selection. Otherwise, it will sort it, but it's going to have the wrong city and the other wrong information if you do not do that, if you just stick with the current selection. So we will expand it because we want the correct info, and then we'll click Sort. So now it is in alphabetical order from A to Z here. If you wanted to put it in reverse alphabetical order, it's very similar. You would just click the Z to A option. You would also continue to click Expand the Selection. And now our vehicle starts with the Volvo here. If you would like to sort in numerical order, let's take the phone number for example. We would highlight that column. And then you could also click Sort A to Z, which will also sort numerically. You still want to expand the selection so the content stays with the correct vehicle. And now our phone numbers start with 1, and we can see that. So whether it's a price you're looking at or some other type of ranking that you're trying to put in a numerical order, you can also sort A to Z, and it will sort it numerically as well. So let's talk about using a filter. If we click on cell A1, this is going to allow us to set up a filtering system to filter for various options. So you would also go to the Data tab, the Sort and Filter group. We would click the funnel that says Filter. It's going to give it a little drop down, and you'll notice that little drop down occurred on each of these column headers. If we are filtering for the vehicle, and let's say I'm looking for a dealership that has 3 particular vehicles that I may be interested in. First, we're going to select all, so that way we can start with a blank slate here. And maybe I'm looking for a BMW, an Acura, or a Cadillac. And so I just want to know the places that offer that vehicle. Now I will click OK. And here we are. Now it has sorted for those 3 vehicle types. If you want to undo your filter, you could just click Undo here. And this also kind of shows you again that this has been filtered out. As you see, these numbers are in blue, and there's numbers in between each of these. Is essentially what that is showing here. So I'm going to click Undo the filter, so now it brings it back to the beginning here. You can also freeze panes, and so that may be something that you would want to do as well. So I'm going to select here on the View tab, go to the Windows group. So here's the Windows group. Okay, and we're going to actually click A2 because I noticed it looks like my option I'm looking for isn't available. So one moment here, trying to figure out why it's not available. I think I know why. So it looks like we've been in page layout view. Let's click normal view. And so this is a good teaching moment. Sometimes I like it when things don't go exactly as planned. So let's see if normal view fixes this, because I was looking for a freeze pane option, which is currently grayed out. So if I click normal view, okay, our freeze pane option is there now. So we're going to actually click freeze pane, and this will give you the option to either freeze the top row or to freeze a column. So for instance, let's start with column first. So let's say we want to freeze this vehicle column. And if our data continued and we had more information clear over here, the nice thing is that your column then stays. So regardless, if I had data in this column here, if I wanted to continue to scroll over, I'm going to be able to see that information. As you see, that moves and continues to keep on going to eventually where I can't see it. I always can see column A if that column is frozen, which then allows you to move throughout the spreadsheet, especially if you have a lot of columns, and still be able to see the information. So that's the benefit of freezing the column. Now, sometimes you may actually want to freeze the top row. As you see, the top row has some important information: city, phone number, name, etc. Sometimes those headers may be even more important. We can kind of gather what the header probably would be from the information here. But when you start working with more detailed information, having this header to know what column you're even in could be important. So the nice thing about that is if you continue to scroll down on your spreadsheet, even though we get to, row 52 or whatever, we are still going to be able to see which column we are working with. So here we are, and I still know that I'm in my vehicle column, my city column, my phone, the name. If we click freeze columns again, you can unfreeze it. And so just to show you what that looks like here, if we don't have our columns frozen, eventually, I don't know what these headers are. Or eventually, if I continue to scroll over, I'm not going to see column A or B or C or D, and I'm not going to have any of that information that might be important. Last but not least is how to use the zoom. And there's a couple different ways you can use the zoom on here. One is at the very bottom here in the right hand corner. You can move this sliding scale to zoom in or out. The little dash in the middle is your normal view. You can also click zoom in the view tab here under the zoom category, and you can click a zoom and you can magnify it to the percentage that you would want, whether it's smaller or larger, etc. If you click the 100, that should return it back to normal view, or you can zoom in, on a selection. So I'm going to go back to normal view, which was the 100. And then scroll back over. So here's also the little scroll thing that I just kind of want to point that out too. After what I just only had seen the D column. And so sometimes you have this bar here too, which would allow you to scroll all the way over to your A column if you're not seeing everything. Through this exercise again, we learned to sort alphabetically and numerically, to use the filter function, to freeze the panes, and how to use zoom.